everybody. Welcome back. The NBA bit. I feel like I have been live more than I haven't the last day or two. Appreciate everybody that tuned in yesterday. We stayed up. Actually, you know what? We didn't stay up that late. We did all of the Heat Sixers game. Then I think we did the first quarter and a half of Hawks and Bulls last night before calling it quits because we had just been talking too long. But we're back today. We're going to break down last night's action. We might even look at some highlights. We're going to talk some Jonte Porter. We'll look at some of the matchups here for the first round as stuff starts to get ironed out. Real quick, just up top, two other shows today that actually they're not happening on playback, but we got two other shows today. I'm jumping on Spike Week, Eric Beimfor's channel, to do some underdog best ball draft conversation. I think that's at 2 p.m. today, 2 or 3 p.m. I got to double check. But then tonight, I'm very excited about this show. It's the first time we're doing this. I hope you guys tune in on our main Team Hold channel at Team Hold Live on YouTube. We're going to do a little WNBA action, okay? It's going to be our first W show. We've got some friends from the Let the Girls Play pod coming on to talk about the draft. I'm a casual W fan, and they're going to help us get ready for the new season. So that's going to be at 7 p.m. tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. So tune into that. Police. Who do we got here this morning? I see the comment man says it's Boyan's birthday. Snoopaloop says it's Happy National Animal Cracker Day. We love to see that. I see Stubbs in the chat. Maddie Harrison's here. Wet like I'm book. You're up early, sir. Fresh off an underdog W last night for yourself, I saw. See Stan Love's lurking, feeling down. Regulators here, Boston based. Charles, good morning, everybody. Hope you guys had a nice night. Listen, let's do this. Let's start with Heat Sixers last night, which was a 105-104 victory for the Philadelphia 76ers. And there's a lot of different places we can start. But the main one I have is I think the Sixers are just going to get waxed in the first round. That was my takeaway from last night's game. That game was ugly. I mean, some if you were a glass half full Sixers fan or a Heat fan for that matter, you might be thinking, you know what though, this is what playoff basketball is all about. You grind it out. You grind out those W's. Well, we probably shouldn't be doing this. That was ugly basketball, man. It really was, and nobody looked good, right? Nobody looked good. Let's give you some stats quickly here. Jimmy Butler, we should give Jimmy Butler some credit here, who finished the game with 19 points, 5 dimes, also had 5 steals, 4 rebounds, but clearly seems like he has a sprained MCL based on some of like the loose reporting I've seen from hashtag Heat Culture. Jimmy, that happened at the end of the first quarter. It looked like a sniper was up in the rafters and took him out. The way he went down, I couldn't tell if it was a non-contact injury. I couldn't tell if Kelly Oubre caught him. The way he was pounding the wood, we're doing this, we're pounding the wood. But to see Jimmy go down like that, I was stunned he finished the game. And then I was like, okay, he was fine. Maybe it was more scary than hurtful, right? Maybe he thought it was worse than it was. And then you see him walking post-game. I've never seen a man limp like that. It looked like he was never going to walk again. And now reports are if it's just a sprained MCL, he might be good to go for Friday. Storm and Pinball in the chat. Let's go. Let Nick Batum, superhero. But anyways, so we've got Heat and Bulls on Friday. We've got that. He might be good for Friday, Boston base. That's if it's a sprained MCL, he might be able to play through that. Well, I don't know, dude. I'm done counting out Jimmy's toughness. All right. But for the Sixers sides, let's talk about that. So Tobias Harris, man, how are people feeling about Toby? Like Tobias Harris, oh boy, finished the game with 9 points. He had 10 rebounds. I think 6 of them came from one possession where he missed 11 layups in a row. And he's like missed brick caught. But the story of the night, Nicholas Bonjour Batum, 7 for 12 from the field, 6 for 10 from 3. Finished the game with 20 points and 5 boards, was doing a little bit of everything, had a big block late in the game. Batum is the man. Joel Embiid looked rusty. I mean, he finished the game with 23 and 15, which sounds good, but boy, oh boy, that did not really look like a solid Joel Embiid game. I don't know. How do you guys feel in the chat? Like, I really didn't walk away with confidence in either of those teams last night. I was kind of touting that if the Sixers get past the Heat and they get the Knicks in the first round, I think that's a tough matchup for New York, and I do think it is a tough matchup for New York. But I still think the Knicks should be able to survive that. If this is the Embiid that we're getting, I mean, Maxey really didn't have it either. He went 6 for 16 from the field, 1 for 6, I believe, from three. It was just like ugly. I think he started the game by just throwing the thing off the side of the backboard. Finished the game with 19 points, but it looked bad. Common Man in the chat saying the Knicks can beat that Embiid, not Embiid. And Regulator said it depends on Embiid getting healthier. Yeah, I was seeing a lot of that. Like, well, if Embiid gets healthier as time passes, I just don't know if that's how it works. Only because he's gonna keep playing, right? It's not like he's resting. I know they don't play now until they play Saturday, right? So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. Going back to Miami here for a second. So in their loss, they now will take on the Chicago Bulls on Friday, which we'll talk about a little bit. I think Bam Adebayo. There was some time. There was some time that passed from Bam Adebayo, right? Where like you think about last year, and there were Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde of Bam, right? Bam would disappear for a little bit, then all of a sudden he would come back. Would disappear for a little bit and then he would come back. But this year, he was pretty consistent. He carried the team quite a bit when Jimmy missed a ton of games earlier in the year. Hero missed a ton of games. A lot of people missing games. Bam was consistent. Last night, Bam took 9 shots, 2 of them being 3-point attempts. So that means he took, and I don't count those as real shots for Bam. So really, he took 7 makeable shots for Bam, going 5 for 7 from the field. He finished the game with 10 points and 12 boards, but just kind of a non-factor. And if that is the Bam Adebayo you're going to get, Miami's not beating anybody. You know, they were an 8 seed for a reason. They weren't a good team this year. They weren't. They can't score. They were playing. I mean, they threw some funky defenses at the Sixers last night, right? We saw a lot of 2-3 and 3-2. They were throwing any sort of zone. Jim Boeheim was probably rubbing one out watching this game with all the different zones that were being thrown at him last night. But if that's the game you're getting from Bam and Tyler Hero too, Tyler Hero took 27 shots, 9 for 27. So he took 2 less points than shots, 25 points on 27 shots. Just ugly, ugly stuff. And I don't know, man. There you go, Wet Like I'm Booked. There we go. Good jokes from the chat. Well done, Common Man, too. But if this is the Miami Heat we're getting, give me Chicago. Give me the Bulls, because the Bulls at least can generate offense. In Miami, I mean, Duncan Robinson was cleared to play. He didn't come in. Jaime Jaquez played 22 minutes. DeLon Wright played 22 minutes. Right? Typically, when we get into the playoffs, the rotation shrink here. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys play over 15 minutes. I'm sorry. Nikola Jovic played 14 minutes. 9 guys playing over 14 minutes last night. 7 of them playing over 22 minutes last night. You just have no idea who their rotation is. They just got a bunch of dudes they're throwing at you. So I don't know, man. I don't, I know as a Celtics fan, you're like, oh my God, oh, Miami Heat. But I'm not scared of this team. And if Jimmy Butler's not 100%, I mean, they did this last year. This is exactly what happened, right? They lost the first playing game to Atlanta, down to its last 5 minutes against Chicago. Maybe the Bulls, so DeAndre DeRozan wasn't there last night for the Bulls game, but maybe they were like, all right, listen, you're not going to miss school unless, actually, she wouldn't even have to miss school. It's a Friday night game. She could stay up late. So we'll see. We'll see. But I don't know. I think my biggest takeaway from this is I don't trust either of these teams unless all of a sudden Embiid gets a little bit healthier. But, I mean, Miami plays a gritty style of defense, right? So it's a gross game. Well, guess what, Philly? You're now playing the New York Knicks, and I think they would probably also fall into that category of some like gross, slow it down, grind it out type game. So I think you're going to see a lot more of that. But I think the series is going to hinge on Embiid's health, but then also like what are you getting from the other guys? Like without Nick Batum going for 20 points, and I don't know how many times we're going to see Batum go for 20 points. I don't know how many times we're going to see that. So they're going to need other guys. Like they're not going to be able to survive Tobias Harris games like that. Like Tobias Harris, man, put his face on a milk carton because where is he? Where are you? Kelly Oubre had 11 points last night for him. They had 4 guys in double digits, right? You had Nick Batum with 20, you had Tyrese Maxey with 19, and Embiid with 23, and Kelly Oubre. I mean, I guess glass half full for the Sixers fans. I mean, how many times are you going to get bad games from both Embiid? And again, I know his numbers look good at 23 and 15, but bad games from both Embiid and Maxey? I don't know. I don't know. And then how are they going to defend Brunson? I don't know. I was feeling spicy last week where I was like, I think I'm actually taking the Sixers against the Knicks. But I think I'm gonna have to see it play out. I think I'm gonna lean like Knicks in 6. I think that's right. Is anybody taking the Sixers in the series? Is anybody going to take Philly over New York? I know there was a lot of I kind of posed that a second ago, and people were like, it depends on Embiid's health. But like right now, is anybody doing it? Regulator said the last time Batum had 20 points was 8 years ago when he was playing against the Heat with the Hornets. That's also probably the only time he had a good game for Charlotte, right? That was stuff. Ooh, Tesla's in the chat. He said he's taking the Sixers over the Knicks. There we go. Yeah, but is that Nick Nurse bias right there, Tesla? Is that Nick Nurse bias? I think those games are going to be gross, but I'm excited to watch them. I'm excited to watch them because this does. I mean, can you imagine after? I just keep thinking back to this is a different Knicks team for sure because they have a real star in Jalen Brunson, but I just keep going back to that Knicks Hawks series from a few years ago. Second longest time between 20-point games in NBA history. Wow. Great point, Tesla. Great point. All right, let's talk a little bit Bulls Hawks, and then we can talk some bigger picture stuff. So Chicago, man, for those that didn't stay up, Kobe White, dude. Kobe, he was awesome last night. Kobe White was incredible. Bulls win this game 131-116. And I mean, this game was never really close. This was kind of out of control the whole time. It was not out of control the whole time, but Kobe. So Bulls put up 40 in the first quarter. They had an 18-point lead in the first quarter. To the Hawks' credit, Hawks outscored them by 12 in the second. So after scoring 40, then the Bulls gave up 45 in the second. But then outscored them by 12 in the third. And that was kind of all she wrote. 131-116. And yeah, dude, Kobe White was awesome. Kobe White finishes this game with 42 points, 9 boards, 6 dimes, and 2 steals. Vooch was out there with 24 and 12. DeMar DeRozan had 22, 9, and 6. They also got 19 from Ayo Dosunmu and 10 points from Javonte Green. On the Atlanta side of things, like DeJounte had 30 points, but DeJounte was cooking. DeJounte was cooking, and then they kind of went away from him in the fourth quarter. So we'll talk about RIP Atlanta here in a second. But anyways, he finishes the game with 30. Clint Capella, we called that about the points and rebounds. That line was set at 25.5. He finished with 22 points and 17 rebounds. And then you got Trae Young had 22 points, only took 12 shots, had 10 dimes as well. So that we got hooked on that one, right? Because I think that line was 33.5 and he got to 32. But that's because that offense got stagnant. Bogdan got hot late. Like his line looks good, right? He went for 21, 5, and 4, but a lot of those points came right down the stretch. The bad news for Chicago is it does not look like Alex Caruso is going to play in this next game. And that's really bad news for them because Caruso got hurt early, I think in the second quarter, was it? Early in that game, and then just did not come back in. I think I saw a report on this last night. Let me just quickly see if Underdog tweeted out. Caruso has significant right foot sprain and is uncertain for Friday. So you want Caruso just kind of out there pestering people here down the stretch for the Heat in that game would be pretty important. And I think Caruso not being there is going to be a problem. I mean, luckily for the Bulls, they kind of have a plethora of guards between Ayo, between Kobe White. Dalen Terry ended up playing like a solid 14 minutes for him. I know he didn't have a ton of stats, but he looked good. And then they've got Javonte Green. Also, shout out to Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond only played 11 minutes, had 4 points and 4 boards, but he had 3 blocks and a steal during that time, and he was yelling a lot, man. He was going like wrestling heel, although he was at home, but Drummond was getting loud. All-star Andre Drummond. Let's hear it for Andre Drummond. But Chicago gets the win. Yeah, it was Drummond who knocked Caruso out of the game. That was tough. Chicago gets the win. They're going to take on Miami on Friday, and I mean, who knows? The play-in has been kind of a bloodbath, right? We lose Zion for the Pelicans after an incredible game. Jimmy Butler's questionable for Friday, and now Caruso goes down too. And I'm a little bit, if you are drafting an underdog for best ball, that wing position got thinned out real quick, making it pretty ugly over there. JJL in the chat says, bring on the Heat. The Chicago are pretenders. Yeah, I mean, I kind of think both of them are pretenders. I have no read on either of those games. I think I would take Miami. Miami's going to be at home. The pedigree. What happens if Bulls beat Hornets? Bulls beat Heat? What do you mean? Oh, like to Miami? What happens? I think they would just say it was a fluke thing. I mean, Miami's going to go out there and spend, right? I think they were pretty excited at the possibility of adding Dame to their roster. I think a lot is going to happen, and we can like talk about this as we talk about like Cleveland against Orlando, because I think a lot is going to depend on like what happens here in these first round playoff series, because I think there's going to be teams with expectations that don't make a run, and then front offices are going to have to decide what to do. And Donovan Mitchell being like the one of the linchpins for this offseason, because like he's clearly not coming back to Cleveland, right? He's treating a lot of his conversations around that kind of like Mikal Bridges is with Brooklyn, where Mikal Bridges is like, trade me, bro. That's kind of what Donovan's throwing out there. And Cleveland, if they lose to Orlando in the first round, they're going to have to make some decisions, right? Because like, what do you do with the Mobley Allen pairing? What do you like? Clearly, Mitchell and Garland's not working, and Mitchell doesn't want to be there. So I guess you hold on to Garland. You try to get some value from Donovan Mitchell. Now we know Donovan wants to go to New York, but I'm sorry, Mitchell. Like, if him signing up for a Brooklyn trade would be batshit. I don't know why he would do that. And the Knicks don't make sense. Like, I don't know if there's any Knicks fans in the chat right now. I just don't understand anybody being like, yeah, let's pair up Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson. You're going to have two Oompa Loompas out there trying to play defense. I just don't see that working. So I don't know if you're Miami and you go down. I mean, even if Miami wins the play-in game and then gets bounced by the Celtics in the first round, they're going to have some moves to make in the offseason. And maybe they try to position themselves for Donovan Mitchell. I honestly think that would probably be a better get for them than Dame, right? Regulator said, I got a trade idea. How about Allen and Yang to the Warriors for Kuminga and Wiggins? So they're basically getting off Wiggins. That's interesting. Do you think? I feel like they could get more for Kuminga, no? Maybe not. I mean, hey, Jared Allen, borderline all-star big. That's kind of what they need. But it depends how they feel about Trace Jackson Davis. Yeah, I don't know, regulator. That's interesting. But to Miami, I do think Miami's gonna get a little spicy in the offseason. Again, whether they win this game on Friday or not, I think they'll take a shot. But Atlanta, who did not win this game, and they are done. I mean, it's over, right? The A-Town down is down bad. I don't know. I don't know what they're gonna do. I imagine they're gonna see. I think we mentioned this earlier in this week, right, where they tried to trade DeJounte Murray during the All-Star, right around the All-Star break, heading into the trade deadline, and there's no trade value for DeJounte, right? So, or there wasn't the trade value that they thought they were going to get. So now they're going to float Trae Young out there, and I imagine whoever provides the most value is the guy that moves. But I don't see a path forward anytime soon. Like, they have a lot of C+ guys on their roster, right? Like, DeAndre Hunter's fine. I like Bogdan Bogdanovic, but I kind of put Bogdan in the Denny Avdia category. We're like, we got to just get them on a good team. Get them on a good team. Would you be buying the peak of Niang if you did? I mean, does Niang have a peak? Like, I feel like Niang was just put in there to make salaries work, would be my guess. I don't think anybody's like, ooh, thank God, Georges Niang, baby. I don't think so. But like you look at DeAndre Hunter's fine. Clint Capella is somebody that I honestly probably should be like, maybe he's like your backup big on a very good team at this point. Like, he's pretty injury prone. You got freaking Garrison Matthews played 13 minutes last night. Bruno Fernando. Wesley Matthews is still out there. He's got no no Achilles left. He's still running around. So I just don't know what their path forward is. I don't know. I don't know what they do. And like, are you just trying to get your picks back? Is that what the plan is here? But Atlanta's going to be in trouble here for a little bit. It would be funny if one of those guards, whether it's Trey or DeJounte, goes back to San Antonio. Based on sources say, I don't think the San Antonio front office is going to be in a rush to get DeJounte Murray back. So maybe they try to pair up Trey with Wembenyama. I mean, I think that's kind of interesting. I'm not the biggest Trey fan in the world, but that will be an upgrade from Trey Jones, Malachi Branham, whoever else they're throwing out there, right? Regulator said Sadiq Bey is the only important free agent for the Hawks. They can run it back. I mean, God, it's gross. Yeah, I mean, I don't think anybody fits with that team right now, though. I mean, I know they played better when he was out, but I mean, they played the Celtics when they didn't have anything to play for. Like, that was 2 of those 7 wins during that stretch. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking about this last night. You know how, like, sometimes if you're in the job market, right? Say you're like job hunting, maybe you just left a job and somebody comes to you and they're like, "Hey, I got a role for you. Would you like this?" And there's a part of you that's like, "Man, I was nervous I would never get a job again. So I'm going to just take this job for a little security, right?" And then a couple months later, you're like, "Oh man, maybe I made a huge mistake." And I just keep thinking that's Quinn Snyder, right? Quinn Snyder, I mean, everybody vaulted him up, maybe not Spo level, but he was in that like top tier of coaching, right? When people said, like, listed some of the great coaches in the league, Kerr, Pop, Spo, and then Quinn Snyder was in that list. And now he's like, he just jumped into that Atlanta job. And I just keep thinking, like, man, when Houston had a coaching vacancy and Ime Udoka slid in there, he could have gone there. Like, I feel like he would have been everyone's top choice for a while. And instead, he signed up for this. And now, like, the coolest thing that's happened to him is he got to get red frames, right? That's been the most exciting part about Quinn Snyder's coaching tenure in Atlanta, is that his frames match the uniforms. I don't know. I would have waited. I would have waited. Hold on, we should clip that just in case that's spicy. Um Topic and Shepard with Wemby would be who's Topic? Who are those guys you're talking about? Are those rookies? Okay, yes, those are rookies. Oh, Nikola Topic. Topic. Um Anyways, that's way too much talk around Atlanta, right? So, real quick on Friday, right? We have 2 games on Friday. We have the Pels who have confirmed they're without Zion. It also sounds like even if the Pelicans win this game against the Kings, it doesn't sound like Zion's going to be ready for the first round. I don't think their first game would be until Sunday, right? But it sounds not great, Bob, um for the Pelicans or for Zion. They said they'd review him in a week. So that kind of stinks. I do think the funniest outcome would be the Kings losing this game, right? All like everybody Kings beat the Warriors. Holy crap! This big, like, oh my God, we got over the hump. Pelicans are without their best player. This seems like one of those games where, like, Trey Murphy goes for 35. But it does feel like I don't think either of those have a shot, right? If the Pelicans without Zion take on OKC Thunder, it's over. And I don't think the Kings have enough depth to take on OKC as well. Like, I don't know how many times Keegan Murray's going to give you 32 in a game. So it does feel like they probably get smoked regardless. And then Miami against Chicago, I don't know. I weirdly think Chicago's going to win this game, but anytime I think Miami's going to lose, they win. So who knows? But either way, I don't think the Celtics have a tough time with either of those two teams. But famous last words. Famous last words. What do you guys want to do next? You want to talk a little Jonte Porter, or do you want to dive into some of the other series? Should we start picking some series? What do you guys want to do first? I'll let the chat decide, baby. Regulator said from Shams. The expectation is Miami's Jimmy Butler will be out multiple weeks. Wow. Okay. Is that a new tweet? Is that this morning? Let me pull it up. Also, share those tweets right in the chat, baby. Yeah, the expectation is Miami will be out multiple weeks. Wow, wow, wow. Brutal stuff. Brutal stuff. Do you think Blake Griffin makes the Hall of Fame? I saw Skeets had a pretty good comp. to Amari Stoudemire. I hope he does. You know why I think he will? Maybe because they include like some of his college shit too, right? Didn't he have like a very impressive college run with the Boomer Sooners? I love Blake, man. I hope he gets into the Hall of Fame. If we're putting Chauncey Billups into the Hall of Fame, why don't we let's put in Blake. All right. I love Blake. I'm pro Blake. I don't care that he punched that guy. All right, let's do some series, baby. So let's start in the West. The one we're not going to talk one seed. 2 seed, we got Lakers and Nuggets. Is anybody buying the Lakers hype? I don't think so. I think Denver will remind us that they are the defending champs, and I think they'll probably make quick work of LA. Maybe LA gets one game at home. But I just think that the Lakers rely pretty heavily on D'Angelo Russell right now to create some more offense. In-season tournament means LA gets 5 extra points. No, they don't jump shoot. But yeah, I think the Lakers probably make quick work of them. I just don't know how they're going to be able to defend Jokic. And I know last year, hey, Rui Hachimura, that worked. Right? You put Rui, that was a game changer. They put Rui on Jokic, and they figured the series out and lost in 4. I can see them getting one game, but I think that's where it caps out. I don't think they'll have a tough time. Regulator says you think they'll get win game 1 to make it interesting and lose in 6. Yeah. Is anybody taking the Lakers? I know ESPN probably will. Shannon Sharp, maybe Stephen A. Smith, but that's I'm staying with Denver. I think where it gets interesting is Phoenix against Minnesota. I feel like this feels like a series that could go 7 games without one close game. You know, like you get 3 or 4 games where Phoenix just shoots the lights out because you know they're going to do that a couple of times, right? They're just going to knock down like 30 triples in a game. Kevin Durant's going to go for 30. Booker will go for like 45. Beal for 25, right? We'll have a couple of those games. But then there's going to be a couple of games where they don't shoot the ball well and they still don't defend, and that Minnesota will have their way with them. So, a regulator, that's a great take too. Somebody will get injured in the series at some point. I do that. Like I kind of want to take Phoenix in this series. I kind of want to take Phoenix in like 7. They win game 7 on the road. Maybe the right move is to take them in 6 if you're going to take Phoenix, but I have a tough time with this one. I think we're really going to start testing the Rudy Gobert, right? Because there was a lot of talk where Rudy in Utah played off the court, like got smoked, and everybody blamed him for the defensive failures in the playoffs, even though he was surrounded by like 7 dudes who can't play defense in Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Bojan Bogdanovic, right? And now in this case, they've got more guys that can actually defend, and I'm curious to see how effective Rudy is in the playoffs or in this defensive scheme against guys. Like, I mean, listen, if it's Yusuf Nurkic and Drew Eubanks out there, I'm not really concerned about it. I do wonder if Phoenix tries to go small a couple times, put KD at the 5, and then see how Minnesota counters. Like, do they leave both Rudy and Cat? Also, how healthy is Cat? The game, Storm pinball back to the Lakers series. The game I keep going back to was in March when the Lakers lost 124-114, but played really well. Yeah, I agree. The Nuggets are just a better team. But I think I'm going to take Minnesota. I'm going to lean Minnesota. I think they're going to win this series, but I think it's going to be I think it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun one. But I wouldn't be shocked if Phoenix. The only reason I kind of want Phoenix to win is it is going to be 9-1-1 if they lose. You know, they've spent all this money. Matt Ishbia in the news for not good stuff. Yeah, I know it would feel bad, but I do. I think Minnesota, I think, is the better team. Does Ant-Man ascend? You know, does he have his moment here in the playoffs? We'll take Minnesota. All right, 4-5 matchup. Listen, I was talking about how, like, in best ball, the drafting is really tough for the wing position, right? Because Giannis isn't going to play. Jimmy Butler sounds like he's out multiple weeks. Zion's out multiple weeks. Everybody was drafting those guys. It doesn't sound like Kawhi's going to play. Yesterday, a report came out that Kawhi played a quarter of practice, which I didn't know they broke down practices in ratio. Like, I didn't know they did that in quarters or fifths or whatever. So if Kawhi's not going for the Clippers, that's a wrap, right? I mean, even if Kawhi's playing, I think Dallas is probably a slight favorite in this one. And now you're saying, because like one of the benefits of having James Harden on this team was like, you Harden, we don't need you to do shit, man. We just need you to facilitate, maybe have a couple moments in the playoffs, but we got Kawhi, we got Paul George. We don't need you to be that guy. Well, now if Kawhi is missing a couple of games, they are going to need Harden to be that guy in the playoffs. And Harden famously is not that guy. So I think the Clippers might be in a little bit of trouble here. And Dallas is just red hot right now. I think like the how they use Gafford, Maxey, PJ Washington. Like I'm curious if they try to get the Clippers a little bit smaller, or they want to leave Zubac out there, get him in the pick and roll, and then you either have Daniel Gafford rim running or just like Luka cooking Zubac. Right? We bought a Zubac, so I'm real. That's the series I'm probably the most excited to watch. I think that's going to be a fun one, but I don't know. Top Shot comment said Kawhi was a Terminator 2 years ago. Don't think he. I mean, if he's healthy, he is right. You go back to that Phoenix series last year. He was the best player on the floor through the first 2 games, and then he got hurt. He couldn't play anymore. So I don't know. I think I'm taking Dallas, and honestly, this might be like Dallas in 5. This might not be if Kawhi's not playing game 1 and game 2, it's all over. Also, a lot of bagel chat in bagel talk in the chat. We love that. Oh, Bandy's returned. Good. I'm glad. A lot of bagel conversation. That's good. So there you go. That's the Western Conference. In the East, or whatever. Celtics, Knicks. We kind of already talked about both of those teams. Okay, this is where I want to have a conversation. I feel like I'm living in my own world. Is anybody taking Cleveland? Do people really think Cleveland's winning this game, this series? I thought for sure everybody was going to be on the Orlando Magic, and with each passing day, it seems like I'm on Magic Island. And I know they haven't been here before. I know they're their young team. I know they can't really generate a ton of offense. But like, what have you guys seen Cleveland do? Like, what's anybody seen from Cleveland? Donovan Mitchell hasn't looked right. Evan Mobley, as Tesla famously says, has no bag. Their wings are Max Strus, Georges Niang, Dean Wade, or I don't even know if Dean Wade's playing anymore. Like, I don't see it. I don't see it. I'm curious too if the Magic put Isaac at the 5. Like, how do they respond with that? I don't know. I think I'm taking Orlando. You know who Cleveland could use? Tim Duncan. Yeah, there we go. A good callback to a Bill Simmons podcast. I'm taking Orlando, man. I haven't seen anything from Cleveland. Anything from them. I also don't trust teams that like lose games on purpose down the stretch. The Magic just seem to have a team built to win regular season games rather than playoff games. So I could not disagree more with that because they're a team that plays defense. If they were a team that was scoring 135 points a game just from knocking down triples, okay, but they play defense. And that's like the one thing that translates to the defense. And I actually think what's going to end up happening is you're going to see their rotation shrink quite a bit. I think you're going to see because Mosley kept all of the minutes of actually, let me pull up Basketball Reference just so I'm not speaking out of my ass here. So Franz this year averaged oh god, I don't have that. I'm not going to look it up, forget it. But they all played around like 30 minutes a game, right? I think what we're going to see here in the playoffs is you're going to see Franz minutes get a balloon up to 36. You're going to see Paolo up in the 38 to 40 range. You're going to see Jalen Suggs, who was only playing 28 minutes a game, blow up to like the 32 to 35. I think the bench guys, I don't think you're going to see Markelle Fultz. I think you're going to see Cole Anthony will probably make the cut. Mo Wagner will probably make the cut. And Jonathan Isaac, along with like their normal 5. I think that's going to be it. I think it's going to be a pretty small sample size. So that's where I'm leaning right now. Mitchell needs to be 90 to 95% to win the series. Also, guys, tell me the last time Donovan Mitchell performed well in the playoffs. Was it last year? No. And that's as far back as I'm going. Was it when he got cooked by Jalen Brunson? When he was on the Jazz? I'm taking Orlando. I'm taking Orlando. I'm gonna do it. Orlando in 6, baby. Light the magic. Light the Mickey Mouse. All right, what's the other series I'm forgetting? Oh man. All right, so Giannis already ruled out for game 1, right? Or like highly doubtful, whatever the hell it was. So he's already ruled out for game 1. But game 1 for them is on Sunday. On Wednesday, they ruled him out. So there's no way he's playing on Tuesday. If game 2, they've only got one day off between game 1 and game 2. There's no, like, for him to be ruled out this far in advance for a Sunday game, no way he plays on Tuesday. So I think I'm going upset city in the East, baby. I'm taking the Pacers in this series too. I am. I'm taking the Pacers. I don't trust the Bucks. Dame's going to have to do so much, which we haven't seen him do. So you're going to see second round matchups of could we get Sixers Sixers versus Pacers in the second round? Celtics Magic? What was I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the point of doing that was. Storm says if they pare down the rotation, it will help, but I just think the Cavs have too much talent and too much to prove. Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know how many people are going to watch it because I think a lot of it's going to be on NBA TV, but I'm excited for that series. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait. I'm just excited for the playoffs. Also reminder. So live before lock this week for you So Rare fans. Normally we do it on Friday. It's going to be on Saturday morning because lock is at noon, but I think we're going to do live before lock at 10 a.m. because I have softball on Saturday. So it's going to be from like 10 to 11 or something like that. So that is going to be live before lock on Saturday. So special Saturday morning content. That'll be fun. But and a reminder tonight, 7 o'clock on the Team Hold channel, 7 p.m. Team Hold. We're talking some WNBA. All right, there we go. That's our wrap up for last night's action to get us ready for this weekend. I'm very excited for some playoffs. We're gonna do a best ball draft. I'm gonna pull up Underdog, jump in a best ball draft, and then maybe we can talk. We can talk some Jonte. We can talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. We can talk about your rare redemptions that people are buying. Sounds like they. I don't know. Rug's too strong of a word, but did they trick people with their? Did they trick people with the what the hell is it called? With the reserving method? Is that what ended up happening? Or did Jeb just not understand it? All right, I'm jumping over to Underdog. We're still going to talk some playoffs as well. So anything you guys want to talk about in the chat, fire away while I jump in this dance. Here we go. And I think I'm almost done drafting too. Sometimes I try to max this contest, but I think I'm going to be close to done here because it's becoming a little bit difficult. These roster constructions are getting a little bit harder. Yeah, that's what I was wondering if Jeb was just a dummy. I was wondering. Oh, man. It's gross out today. Who bought? Yeah, I did not. T-Man, that was some tough autocorrect from T-Man in the chat there. It is really dreary here in the Northeast. I'm trying to talk myself into going to the gym. I kind of made a rule that if it starts raining before I would head over, I'm not going to go. So I'm kind of rooting for the rain right now, but it hasn't started yet. But rooting for the rain. All right, looks like we just filled up. Number 3 pick here. Let's see. Do I see any familiar fit? Paul's in the chat. Let's go. Paul's here. Love to see you, Paul. Boston Base, you had plenty of time. You said wait, and you had like a full minute before you could have joined. Oh, I'm sorry, Boston Base. We'll do more. Also, we got smoked by Pick'ems last night. We did well on Underdog though. We had a good Underdog night, but we got smoked otherwise. All right, what else we got here? All right. Should be sorry, guys. All right, third overall pick here. I imagine is people are starting to take Luca over Tatum. What room is this? This is the dance. We're doing a dance, so it's playoff best ball. Playoff best ball. So it's like $10, but it's for like the entire playoff run. I enjoy this structure. Paul, how many drafts have you done? Yeah, the 6 spot's really hard. Although, you know what's funny? I thought Jalen Brown was a tough pick in the first round considering like everybody else, but with how thin the wing position is, I think Jalen Brown ends up being like a pretty sharp pick now at this point. But I'm curious. I'll see if Luca goes before. All right, Tatum goes too. We're just gonna take Luca here. Shut up, the common man. Let's go, Mavs. Excuse me, MFFFFFL. Random draft info. Oscar Wembenyama is projected 24th. There we go. That's his bro, right? But not, yeah, that's well, the one getting a bunch of I know actually you said this yesterday, right? You weren't thrilled about your Jokic exposures. Only 6'8". That's fucking wild. But this is actually a hard start now, right? When you start with a guard like Luca, because what I've been trying to do is pair Luca up with somebody like Jalen Brunson and then build out a uh Mavs Knicks final, right? But the problem you run into here is like look at the wings. Look how like you can't draft Giannis this high. And then so now you're like, I guess I want Phoenix to go on a run or the Clippers. Like you can't really trust Kawhi. But I do think I'm gonna take Jalen Brunson with my next pick here. And then I might do what I might do is get Kyrie as my third guard, right? Like maybe I start Luca, Jalen Brunson, Kyrie, and then I just don't draft another guard for like the rest of it. Ooh, good luck, Stormin. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So we're gonna take 3 guards in this draft. I imagine Kyrie falls, and then that's it. We're gonna be done with guards, and then we'll probably try to get OG late, Daniel Gafford late, PJ Washington late. Maybe we do yeah, I don't. Again, this is probably why I'm going to be done drafting soon because it was a lot easier to do it. Ooh, Kevin Fortune in the chat. Breaking news, by the way. Kevin Fortune is going to be our second guest on the W show. I need to come up with a name for the W show, by the way. But he's going to be our second guest. Journalist Kevin Forge. You drank Stella last night, went down pretty easy. All right, congrats. All right. Somebody took Kyrie. What is my fella doing here? You son of a bitch. All right, Kevin Durant. Welcome aboard. God. And then I think what we'll do now is probably do 2 Mavs, 2 Suns, and then it's going to be 3 Knicks, I think, here. That's annoying. I hate that too. So he's got Jokic, Gordon, and then Kyrie. What are you doing, bro? We got sniped. We got sniped. Also, if speaking of Kevin too, I was catching up in the Discord on the playback Discord, and it seems like they're going to be trying to get the WNBA League Pass up and running, so they're working on it. Yeah, that's not a bad call, Common Man. The XM is not a bad call. I think I prefer. I think I prefer Gafford. Did Booker go off the board yet? No, so we're gonna have to take Booker. I think the only East guys we're gonna have are the Knicks. Although shit, J Set's gonna take a guard here. Who does he? All right, he took Drew Holiday. Come on, don't do it to me, Dungeon Hunter. Dungeon Hunter, huh? Also, Michael Porter Jr. now kind of dropping in drafts, which is wild to me, because especially because the wing position is so light. What's going on? It said he ran out of time. All right, he takes Dame. We're gonna take Booker. So now we have a Booker, KD, Luca, Brunson start. I think what we're gonna end up doing is taking bigs late. I don't think we're gonna have any good bigs. I think that's the move. La da 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 da. All right. I actually don't hate a Paul George one off here. You know what? No, we're gonna take Paolo. We're going to take Paolo because I think Paolo will be a higher scoring wing. I know it says Paul George projects for 690 points, but that's assuming he wins the first round. I don't think they're going to win the first round. So we're going to take Paolo instead because I do think Paolo has a better shot of, especially with this build, right? Where we're going to have a couple of Mavericks. I think Paolo has a better shot of playing 2 rounds than Paul George does with this build. And then that gives us the out of taking Franz late if we want to. I don't think we will. I think Paolo will end up being a one-off here because the plan is to take 3 Knicks. But if you're just starting to get into these, I would recommend just kind of pushing up the wings a little bit higher than you normally would because it just gets gross. Like LeBron seems like a great click, right? But he might only play 1 round. Chris Middleton seems like a great pick because he should be scoring a little bit more without Giannis in those first couple games. But what if they get smoked by the Pacers? Also, Aaron Nesmith, not a bad defender. I'm assuming he's going to get the Middleton role. LeBron, but like how deep is LeBron playing into the playoffs? And then I think Siakam's a pretty sharp pick. There you go. He's gone off the board. Seems a little early for any of the. I might just take Anthony Davis for some big points here if he falls. Even though that's just going to be a one-off, but that kind of gives me some safety and security of like not relying on Daniel Gafford and Isaiah Hartenstein. So this might end up being a pretty balanced build of like 3 bigs, 3 wings, and 4 guards. I think if AD falls, I don't know who was Dungeon Hunter's last pick. Yeah, I hate Dungeon Hunter's team. This is so dumb. All right, he's got $2 actually. That's not terrible. But this team's toast. How's Paul doing? Paul's got Ant-Man. Oh, wait, I'll go look at it in a second. Oh, AD off the board. No, wait. No, he's not. Sorry, Sabonis. I thought I queued him up. There we go. Anthony Davis, welcome aboard. We'll get some big points here. All right, let's look at Paul's team. Paul, Ant-Man, Maxey, J-Dub, Siakam, Embiid, Towns. So there we go. 2 Sixers. 2 Sixers, 2 Wolves. I like the J-Dub one off here, and you can get Giddy late if you need to. Just make sure you get at least a third. Like you want to make sure you have 5 available for the finals, right? So make sure you grab at least one more Wolf, or one more Sixer. What's nice about both of those, you can get Conley late pretty easily. You can get Naz Reid super late pretty easily. Yeah, there you go. Honestly, I mean, you probably need to take Tobias because wings are so thin. And I don't know the health status for DeAnthony Melton, but I've really enjoyed taking like Melton late, maybe even Kelly Oubre. Nicholas Batum, maybe Batum's the guy you need. Did you guys see Batum's wife? Because there was what was that freestyle rap that went viral? I think I forget who did it, but basically it was like, why is fucking Batum in the game? And she quote tweeted Batum's performance last night, like the highlight of it, and just tweeted, "That's why Batum's in the fucking game." I was like, "That's brilliant, dude." I sent it to Kelsey. I was like, "This is the type of support I'm looking for." When when Dream Shaker drops his freestyle rap, that's like Shakarian and Tony. Both a little foamy. All right, let's get Josh Hart. Let's pick up our second Nick here. And then I think we're going to go Gaffard next. Man, we're going to need Kevin Durant and Paolo to do a lot of heavy lifting here. A lot of heavy lifting. Also, KCP has really fallen. So if you're trying to build nugget stacks, it's easy to get him late. Man, you get sniped, Paul. All right. All right. Man, it hasn't started raining yet. Really need this rain to come down so I don't have to go to the gym. Need those skies to open up so your boy can stay home. And then I'll have a bagel. But man, I'm on this diet. It sucks. I haven't had bagels. I'm having a lot of freaking salad and couscous and gross. I just want sandwiches, man. Oh, I hate it. I want to go back to 24. Peak shape. And I was eating like garbage, but it didn't matter. It's just turning that into muscle. Oh man. Also, this is pretty funny, guys. Is whole wheat bread that bad for you? I don't know. I just know I'm not supposed to be having sandwiches right now. It's the cholesterol, baby. My cholesterol got a little bit higher. In the words of Matt Nathanson. Come on, get higher. Sucks. They basically too, they're like, it's not bad, just like eat right. It's like, okay. All right, Daniel Gaffard, welcome aboard. And then we'll probably go OG next, right? Because that gives us two. So we have two Mavs, two Knicks, two Suns. Yeah. I actually don't have a lot of processed meats. I will say, though, since I've gone on, it's been like a month of this diet now, maybe 6 weeks. I have felt a lot better. Now I just got to stop drinking. I would love to be that guy. Like, I know that's like a cool thing now for people in their 30s to be like, I gave it up, which I'm not shaming on that. I just really enjoy it. I find it to be a night. It's like how I wind down, which, I mean, maybe that's what's problematic about it, but like, I'm not going ham. I just really enjoy it. But I feel like if I cut that out, I would feel the best of all time. But I have since I've switched the diet up a little bit. I've had more energy during the day. If Miami misses the playoffs, they will lose 2 unprotected draft picks. 22. Wow. All right, we're back on the board. OG Anunoby. Welcome aboard. We got 3 Knicks. I actually might just take another wing instead of a second big. I was originally thinking about taking Hartenstein, but I just might roll with this squad. AD helps me get out of the first round. Need the Knicks to win. Yeah, Kev, I was putting in another. I was doing the same thing, man. I had a little mild age. I also am very bad at going to the doctors. I hadn't gone in a few years, and I am when I turned 39, I was like, good God. So I went and got my blood work. And it was fine. I also was like, just because it's how my brain spirals, I just assumed it was going to be the worst of the worst. I really had a funny thing where the doctor was like, yeah, listen, if it's fine, we just shoot you an email. I wouldn't worry about it. If we call you, then like we'll talk. And so they take forever to get my blood work back. I finally get an email that just explains it. I was like, okay, cool. And then like 3 days later, I miss a call. They're like, the doctor would like to speak with you as soon as possible. And I was like, oh my God. I couldn't get him back on the phone like all day. And then I finally get a call back and they were like, oh yeah, your cholesterol is just like a tiny bit high. Just, eat a little bit better. It's like, that could have been in the email. You just put that in the email. I thought I was down to 0 testicles. I know. You know what? The doctor knew specifically. I actually was proud of this joke. Because they asked if I was like, I forget how it came. I forget what they asked, but they were like, "Oh, do you battle with anxiety and depression?" And I was like, "Oh, a little bit." And they were like, "Well, like how bad?" I forget how they phrased it. We're gonna take Franz here, by the way, to finish this draft. But I was like, enough, enough for a therapist, but not enough for medication. And again, it was just one of those moments where, like, I was like, this is a good crafted joke. And the doctor, zero reaction. Um, but yeah, they knew they had that in the file. They had it in the file, and they still pulled that. But it was probably the kickstart I needed. I got back into the gym right after that and then started eating a little bit better. And, here we are. Also, I told Boston Base this yesterday because I know he's a fan. But you guys know the comedian Stavros? Stavi baby. Do you know him? Do you know him? Uh, I knew he lived in Queens. He lives in Astoria, where I live. Uh, and I got to the gym yesterday and I was like, oh, the dude looks like Stavi. And it was. And I thought that was pretty funny. One, because I just did not expect him to be grinding it out at the gym. And he was. He was getting some back work in. So good for him. Good for him. All right, dogs. We did it. We got it in. Reminder, I'm going to be on the Spike Week show today at 2 or 3. I honestly don't. I'll retweet it when they publicize it. But tonight, please tune in tonight on YouTube, 7 o'clock. I would like this show to do well. Not like crazy numbers, but I would like for this to pick up a little momentum. I think now's a fun time to for us casuals, because I feel like a lot of you are probably in this boat. Let's just pick a WNBA team tonight. Let's pick one to follow. The same way that I got in the Premier League like 15 years ago. Let's pick a W team and let's get excited. I think we can have some fun with it. So tune in tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll have some fun with that. I appreciate everybody hanging in. I'm tired. I'm sure you guys are too if you were all watching hoops last night. Yeah. Oh man, Greg Doyle, what a douche. That was insane. That was insane. The best part about that happening though, Kevin, is there was a lot of other funky tweets that came up from like 2011 from that man. So I did enjoy that. But yeah, it was gross. It was gross. But yeah, tune in tonight at 7. And then listen, tomorrow we get some more play-in games, and then Saturday the playoffs. So we're almost there. We're almost there. Hope everybody has a nice little Thursday. See you later. We're out of here.